Good evening and welcome to the HCC Experience, a chance for us to acquaint the community with some of the personalities and some of the activities that are happening at Hutchinson Community College. I'm Ed Berger, president of the college, and I always host this show, and it is always a pleasure to talk to some of the people we have here at Hutchinson Community College. Tonight's guest is Travis Roberts, and Travis is the debate and forensics coach at Hutchinson Community College, and you might talk a little bit about the program, kind of the history of the program, where it is now, where it's been, and maybe some of the rich tradition we have at Hutchinson Community College in debate and forensics.
Okay. The debate and forensics team has been at the college for a very long time. I can find trophies back to the 1920s and 30s for all different events, including a segregated event called Women's Extemporaneous Speaking. Back then, they apparently kept them in separate competitions. But I've been here for 4 years now, and the goal has always been just to take us one step higher competitively. The last couple years we've been doing very well, picking up national titles in debate, our speaking and acting events. And coming up next year, we're hosting a very large national tournament that's never been hosted anywhere besides D1 University. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, Travis, we do have this rich tradition. I think, you know, part of our heyday was back in the days of Tom Kelly,
yes,
when he had national championships on a routine basis, then Dave Blackham, and then for a while we suspended the program and brought it back under Rachel Santine, and it's really kind of grown and flourished since then. I notice you link debate and forensics together. Mm-hmm. How is that different than some colleges, and how do those two activities, really very different activities, how do they interface, and how do they, what are some of the events in some of those categories?
Okay. The way our tournaments are set up is that usually debate happens on a Friday and carries over into Saturday, and then the acting and the speaking events start on Saturday and then finish on Sunday. A lot of colleges specialize in just one or the other because of the preparations necessary and all the different activities. It puts a large burden on the coaches and on the students. One thing that we've been able to do here is to find students who are able to handle that workload, and so we're able to do both and do both quite well. The differences vary college to college. It comes down to budgets and then also coaching staff, whether or not they can handle both. But something that we do strive to do here at Hutchinson Community College is to reach out to students who want to focus in debate or who want to focus on the speaking and the acting events. So that's
do some of your students do both forensics and debate?
Yes,
Travis?
yes. It makes for very long weekends and a lot of work getting prepped for the weekends. Within the last couple years, we've been developing a system to where our work coincides together between debate and the speaking events. So we've consolidated our filing system. We file around 1,000 articles a week through different online databases and stuff like that. And so we're trying to make it flow together as much as possible so that students aren't being overwhelmed with the workload.
How big is your squad? How big is your debate and forensics squad?
Okay. We started this year out around 17, and then we had some students who did not make the best academic choices at semester. Right now we're down to 7, and 4 of them do both. 3 only specialize in the acting and speaking events. Next year we're looking at issuing around 25 scholarships to get the numbers back up. We'll be bringing back 4 students from the current squad.
So you have about 4 freshmen then that are coming back. How important is that to have that experience coming back for the sophomore year, Travis?
It is absolutely huge. One of the big disadvantages being at the community college is that our experienced students are sophomores. This is one of the few collegiate activities where there's no divisions. So we compete against D1 schools every weekend, the K-States, University of Texas at Austin's, Nebraska Lincoln's, Omaha, stuff like that. But getting that first year and then getting that first nationals experience and seeing exactly where they need to be at is huge. And then coming back and helping train the freshmen, that way they're getting word from the sophomores and not just the coaches. A lot of students don't believe everything out of my mouth when they first show up, and so it takes some training from the upperclassmen.
So you're looking at 25 students next fall semester.
Yes.
Where do you recruit your students from, Travis, and how do you discover who those talents are to bring into Hutchinson Community College?
Okay. I recruit all across the state of Kansas. Before I came here, I taught at Haven High School, just down the road. And so I still have a lot of connections with the high school coaches. And so, I send out emails back and forth, do you have any talent that I need to be looking at? And then some students just show up at the door. It happens every semester. A student just sees debate and forensics on my office door and they walk in and start talking to me. But the recruiting process is always ongoing. This current year, we have no Reno County students on the team, but with our recruit class coming in, it's about 1/3 Reno County. But we have students all the way from Fort Scott High School, and they've gone all the way out west to Hayes, north, south, but all areas from the state.
So you find out about them through your network of
Yes.
contact with debate coaches, and then you bring them on campus for a visit and talk to them about the program and the opportunities? Sometimes
they come for a visit. Sometimes, with travel constraints, we do it all by phone, or I travel to high school tournaments and meet students there. It just varies on schedule. Sometimes their visits, when they want to come, is when I'm off at a national tournament. So it just varies student to student.
Now, is there a season for your activity, or are you pretty much year-round, Travis?
We're pretty much year-round. Our tournament prep starts the first week of school. This year we started the weekend before school started, so we brought everyone in for an intensive lock-in weekend, and then it finishes up about mid-April. So it's a long season of travel.
When you talk about those forensic events, give me some examples of forensic events that our viewers might be familiar with or perhaps might have participated in themselves.
Okay. We have every forensics event that happens in high school except for improvised duet acting. So we have the extemporaneous speaking where they draw a current events question and they have 30 minutes to go through their pre-planned research and answer the question in a logical, systematic way. And then we have persuasive speaking, problem, cause, solution over any topic that the student might want. Informative speaking, where we talk about something new and exciting. It's usually the latest cure for cancer. And then as far as the interpretation events, we have prose, poetry, dramatic interpretation, and then duet interpretation. And there's some others that are new to college that don't happen at the high school level.
So when they come in, they've got probably have to have some kind of acting background too, don't they, if you're looking at forensics?
Yeah, some do. A student is able to specialize if they want to into either the speaking events or into the acting events. So it's really up to the student and their own skill set. Some students come in and they think they're actors and we find out they're not and we start gearing them towards the speaking events or vice versa. We also have many students that do both, but we try to develop what skill set they have and put them into the events where they have the most chance at finding success at the college level.
And when you look at forensics and the talent involved in forensics, how are these skills applicable in the real world, in the outside world? What will they gain from their experience as a forensicator at Hutch Community College when they go out into the job market? And how will that make them more employable?
The main thing that they learn, whether doing interpretation, the acting events, or the speaking events, is how to organize their thoughts. Even when we do like a prose interpretation, we still analyze it from the point of what are we trying to get across, why is this applicable to the audience, and what are they supposed to take away from that. So we really focus on those areas, and we look at what employers are looking for today in the workforce. They really want people who can communicate, are comfortable in front of an audience, and also are able to make points clearly known, and so that they are basically not being lost in the crowd.
And what about debate? How are those skills transferable in debate?
Debate is its own beast. The debate concept is to look at a problem and then to formulate your position and advocate for that side. So when we look at what's happening in the workforce, you're put onto specialized teams. If we need to reformat an assembly line, people have to say, this is the current problem. In debate, we call that harms. This is what's happening now. This is why we need to fix it. That's inherent. And then you have your plan. And then you implement the plan, and then you can show what good things are going to happen. And we call that in debate advantages. So while our terminology or jargon is a little bit different than the normal mindset for the workforce, our concepts are the same. So the debaters are able to really go at a problem analytically, break it down into its parts and show how to fix it.
So when you have that debater, he or she completes their program at Hutchinson Community College, can they transfer then to a 4-year school and compete?
Oh, yes.
Or is there a limit on the amount of years of eligibility, or do you have any of those kinds of guidelines that athletics has, for example?
Yeah, a student is limited to 4 years of eligibility for the activity, and 2 of that can be spent at the community college level, and then 2 years at a 4-year institution. Right now, with our sophomore group, we have 1 sophomore that's traveling to the University of Alabama next year and participating with there, and with the scholarship package that they were able to put together. It's actually cheaper than her going here at Hutchinson Community College. We were very impressed with what they were able to do. And we have another student who's going to Kansas State University. But there are 4-year programs all over the nation, and if a student is competitive and is known to be a hard worker, there are many opportunities for them.
Student has great scholarships, can go to 4-year schools and continue their education. What do they do? What do they major in typically when they go to that university? Are they looking at being, you always think of pre-law tied to debate. Is that something they're looking at, a pre-law kind of activity? Or is it broader than that?
It's really anything. When I competed at Kansas State University, we had pre-med, pre-law, civil engineering all on the squad, communications, even on our own squad. We've got, police science, social work, English. It's an extracurricular activity, so it's not geared towards any single major.
How much time does one of these students have to commit to be part of your program, Travis? It sounds to me like you've got a lot of research, you have a lot of practice, you have a lot of travel involved in actual tournaments. So if you go out and recruit a student and that person says, how much of my time am I going to have to, can I have a part-time job? Can I keep my GPA up at 4.0? What do you tell them?
I say it's really up to the student and how they manage their time. A lot of students come to college thinking that it's still an 8 to 3:30 type mindset for academics. So the first thing we do is break down the schedule and say, you're going to have chunks of time throughout your day. If you choose to use those chunks of time wisely and not just hanging out online, Facebook, YouTube, or playing PlayStation 3, you can be successful. I do have students that pull the high GPAs, the 3.8s to the 4.0s, while holding down multiple part-time jobs while traveling on the weekend. And so it's really what they want to accomplish and how they apply themselves as far as what they can do.
When you're looking at your debate travel, I know you go to a lot of different tournaments. How many tournaments would you say that on an average that you participate in a school year?
On average, between 14 and 16 weekends. So it's 2 weekends a month we're on the road or we're hosting here at the college. And students are required to travel at least 3 of those weekends a semester. Many will travel all of them, but they have life going on, and if they need to stay home to get ready for finals week or family reunion, stuff like that, we're able to work around that. But the students who really want to succeed and want to have those big scholarships offers from the 4-year colleges and universities, they're going to be out there as much as possible.
In high school debate, they have a topic, and that topic is debated annually.
Right.
Do you have the same kind of thing in college?
There are 2 types of debate. There's Lincoln-Douglas debate, which is very similar to high school, except it's one-on-one. So the round takes about 45 minutes, and it's the same resolution all year. So this year it's about the United States changing its trade policies with the People's Republic of China. So they're very specific, so we're not talking about Taiwan.
Taiwan, right.
And then with the other type of debate, parliamentary debate, the debaters find out about the topic 15 minutes before the round starts. So it changes every single round. That requires the research going into it and then able to formulate their case and their positions within 15 minutes.
So they really can't do any research. They've got just have a...
We have to have a breadth of research.
Broad-based research.
Yeah.
So some of those topics recur?
Every now and then the wording's usually different, but it can be anything from, the United States federal government should engage in Syria, or we should clean up the oceans, or we should protect this bird. It can really be anything. And then your ability to find the adequate information in that 15 minutes is absolutely crucial. So we make
So
sure
it kind
that
of
we
sets the
have,
stage here. You come up and you draw your topic, and then you have 15 minutes to prepare, and your person who you're debating against does the same thing.
correct.
Do you have to take both positive and negative side of the argument, or do you?
For one round, you're only on one side.
Okay.
And then for the next round, it's usually flipped. So if you're...
Same topic?
no. So different topics every time.
Must be a real adventure for your students.
It is. It keeps all of us on our toes because we never know what's going to happen.
So you've had some great wins this year.
Yes.
Kind of recap for our viewers some of the highlights for your season to this point. I know you're really looking at nationals coming up, so that would hopefully be the ultimate.
Right.
But tell us about some of the successes that you would say really stand out in your program this year, Travis.
Yeah. Our debate team, we have one student, Angel West, who has broken at every tournament that she's competed at except once in 2 years. And that's absolutely phenomenal.
Okay, broken. Help me with that.
That means advancing to the elimination rounds. So, you know, if the field starts with like 40 students, they usually take the top 16 out and they start doing a bracket system in order to get to the final round. And so for one student to continuously be in the top group is absolutely amazing, and she's able to adapt to the audience, to the judges, and the tournament format every time she's traveled with different partners as well.
Now that's in forensics or debate?
That's in debate.
That's in debate.
Yeah. And then as far as the forensic side goes, we had some very lofty team goals at the beginning of the year, and that was to be the top community college wherever we go, which we've been able to do. It's gotten close a couple times, but everywhere we've traveled, we have been the top community college. And then also to finish in the top 5 to 10 for all schools. And so that's being right there in the mix with the 4-year schools and the schools that have those juniors and the seniors, as well as the freshmen and sophomores that we have. But then also to sometimes squeak out into the top 3 and pull school trophies away. And we've been able to do that as well. And it's really nice from our perspective to be competing with the upper level. And throughout the year, we're approaching 200 awards, both individual and school awards. And then within those awards, we keep track of those that finish in the top 3rd to top 4th of an event for nationals qualifications. And so it's not just a matter of making the top 6 in the final round, but finishing in the top 2 or 3. And
so you have a point system for nationals?
Yeah, yeah. To qualify for the AFA, the American Forensics Association National Tournament, they have to be in a final 3 times and have their rankings in the final add up to be 8 or less. So like a student in poetry can go get a 2nd, a 1st, and a 3rd. Well, those add up to be 6, less than 8, and then they qualify for the national tournament. So we really, it's not just an issue of getting the trophy, but also finishing at the top of the final round. And we've been above 50% for that as well. So it's a lot of numbers and confusing stuff specific to our organization, but for a coach, it means a lot.
Travis, let's take a brief break here and we'll find out more about other programs at Hutchinson Community College and come back and talk about some of the things we have planned for this year as well as next year for debate and forensics at Hutchinson Community College. Welcome back to the HCC Experience. I'm Ed Berger, President of Hutchinson Community College, and our guest this evening is Travis Roberts, Debate and Forensics Coach at Hutchinson Community College. We've been talking about some of the successes we've had in debate and forensics. We've talked about what the program is like, what it involves, the kind of students we have. We have some tournaments that we've hosted here on campus as well, Travis. I know you've really expanded the opportunities that we have here on campus.
Yeah.
How many tournaments do we host on an annual basis? And talk about the big one coming up in 2013.
Okay. Right now we host 4 tournaments a year. So it starts, we have one in September called Debates on a Plane, and that brings in about 30 schools from across the nation. And then we have another one in November, first weekend, and then one in the last weekend of January. And those are all regular season tournaments. And then next weekend, usually the second weekend of March, we also host what's called JV Nationals, which is only open to first and second year competitors. This last semester, Kenneth Hopkinson, the assistant coach, and myself, we put together a bid to host the AFA, the American Forensics Association National Tournament. And we were accepted. It'll be the first time it's ever been hosted by anything smaller than a university as far as classification. But for that, we had to be able to show that we have over 100 competition rooms available, the ability to feed everyone. It's going to be about 1,200 people is what we're planning on, and then adequate hotel space within proximity to the campus. And we just kept working, expecting to hit a roadblock, and everything kept falling in place. And they accepted our bid, and so we are hosting that next year.
So you have 1,200 people here on campus for that event?
Yes.
Now that's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
It'll be a Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's
Yeah.
a little different than usual.
Yes. Since it involves the entire campus, the preliminary rounds where we use 100 rooms happen on Saturday, Sunday, and then on Monday we're just down to semifinals and finals. So our room needs are a lot smaller, and we'll actually be moving that to the Ramada Convention Center here in Hutchinson.
So when you, which portion, Travis?
For the Monday portion.
For the finals you're going to
Yeah.
have at the Ramada.
Yeah.
So when you do an event like that, it just seems like to me a logistics nightmare. Do you qualify them, or is that something that is qualified through an association?
As far as the
Participation,
yeah, it goes back to the qualifications before. And so there's a lot of paperwork involved, and I submit that to my district chair, who's right now Craig Brown at Kansas State University, and he verifies that the students did qualify for the national tournament, and then it goes on to the national chair as well. And so there's a lot of bureaucracy in order to get through. My job next year will be just coordinating the logistics of the hosting, as far as, you know, the rooms, the judges, making sure we have the hotels, the food, adequate space, posting, stuff like that.
So give me a sense as to where all these teams will come from. How many teams will you have from Kansas? How many will you have from East Coast, West Coast, Travis?
Okay, usually from Kansas, we're looking at 4 to 5 schools.
Okay.
So it'll be us, Bethel College, Kansas State University, Sterling College, Ottawa University shows up every now and then. And then it pulls from all over the nation. There will be teams from Hawaii, Alaska, New York, Washington, D.C., Florida, California. We're going to make the Wichita Airport very profitable for one weekend.
So have you, do you work with the local convention and tourism
Yeah.
bureau? So what have you done as far as reserving rooms and making sure that your accommodations are in place for that weekend in April, I guess? April?
Yeah. So we worked with Holly at the convention bureau, and she helped us get stuff set up, and then also been working a lot directly with the sales managers at the different hotels. And so just making sure that we have room blocks set up. So our goal is to have around 500 room blocks set up for that. And based on the hotel, it varies in price. But that way, when schools go to register for the tournament in February and March, they can be assured that there's adequate hotel space.
So we have enough capacity to accommodate them.
Oh yeah. One thing that
We have
found
another
out,
hotel coming online here too. Should be ready by fall, I think.
Yeah. So right now there's over 500 branded hotels, so major national chains within 5 miles of campus. Mm-hmm. And there's another about 500 hotel rooms at the unbranded hotels. And so there's definitely enough adequate space for this. We were really impressed with the ability to host something like this in Hutchinson.
Will you have a banquet or anything tied to this, Travis, or do you do that with?
There has been banquets in the past. The issue with the banquet is that it's such a large event.
I was going to say 1,200 people.
Yeah, and so it puts a large strain on the local hosts, and then it turns it into a long evening for all the teams involved as well. And so, but we do have to coordinate breakfast for everyone and then the lunch meals, both here on campus, and that's being done through our service on campus, and then also Monday at the Ramada, and we're dealing directly with the Ramada for all our food needs there.
You're going to need to have some logistics coordinated on campus too, so
yeah.
people are aware of all these kids running around on a weekend and
yeah.
what that involves and how to assist them and how to make that successful.
Yeah, we're going to be setting up a class for the spring semester that students will be able to enroll in. It'll be called something like large event planning, and the students will be assigned specific areas as far as, you know, hospitality, meeting the needs of the competitors, and so everyone will get a specialized area. That way I'm able to be more large scale, and then we can have student groups focusing on the smaller areas.
So this year, looking at a national championship?
Always trying.
Always trying?
Always trying. So that we'll start finding out next weekend. We've always been able to pull one off in the past, but it just comes down to who shows up that day and mindsets, and, you know, if the hard work is ready to go together.
So you have national event champions and then a sweepstakes. Is that how that usually amounts to, Travis?
Yeah, it's kind of like track, and so each student competes individually, and they can receive awards in their individual event. You know, if they do high jump and track, they can do extemporaneous speaking and forensics, and so they get their individual awards, and then also points go together for the team. So it's both an individual and a team mindset in order for us both to succeed.
You know, when you look at this past year, you've had some good results with sweepstakes. How many different community colleges in Kansas actually participate in debate and forensics, Travis?
It's gone down. Last year there was 6 community colleges, and now it's down to 2 or 3. So it's us, Barton, and Kansas City, Kansas Community College as far as doing it. A lot of the smaller community colleges just weren't able to continue to fund it. But when we start looking at the other areas, there's about 4 community colleges in Nebraska, 3 or 4 in Missouri, 2 in Oklahoma. And so whenever we go, there's a large pool of community colleges there. But as far as locally, it's being heard.
And your universities, you mentioned Berger, you mentioned Bethel, you mentioned Ottawa and K-State. Others that you will run into on the
just from
circuit?
Kansas or from all over? From
Kansas.
Kansas Wesleyan, Sterling, Pittsburgh State has a new program going now, and then Ottawa. There's 8 functioning programs in the state right now, and so we hit them. But our tournaments are open up to any school in the nation, and so whenever we travel, we really don't have any idea who's going to be there until we show up.
It'll be a huge cross section.
Yeah.
Travis, why don't you share with the viewers some information about if they'd like to become a part of the debate program, if they perhaps have a grandchild or a daughter or a son, or anybody who would like to be a part of debate and forensics at Hutchinson Community College. Why don't you share your contact information?
Okay. Yeah, we're still looking for students for next year, and I've received recommendations from grandmothers before, and they turned out to be national champions later. So my contact—
Grandma always knows.
Grandma always knows best. It was a delightful conversation over the phone, and we were very happy to get her grandsons on the team. But my office number is 728-8188, and my email is robertst, R-O-B-E-R-T-S-T, @hutchcc.edu. And if we just start the dialogue process, we can see where it goes.
You go to our website and find information there too.
Oh yeah.
Travis, thank you very much for joining us this evening on the HCC Experience. And thank our viewers very much for joining us as well. We will see you again next week with another edition of the HCC Experience. Thank you, guys.